Well, man, I can't be more excited to welcome Joseph Tudisco to the podcast. And we're going to call you Joe. That's okay,
Yeah,
Joe?
yeah.
And you're dialing in from Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, New York, my friend. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're
Well, I'm
actually
here with
we're going to be making a move to Florida, but right now I'm in Brooklyn. Yes.
Well, we have to say that we grew to love the Mike Santini character. We were big fans of Tim Robinson. We were super excited about the show. We created a podcast about it. But then what was so delightful is all these new characters. And I have to say yours was probably right at the top in terms of like this amazing character that had a number of dimensions. You were scary, you were funny, you were at times part of a horror kind of almost movie, almost part of a comedy. It was just such a fun character.
Yes, it is.
It was awesome. So, real quickly, I want to introduce. I'm Mike, and this is Carlos, and we're the co-hosts of the Chair Company Files podcast, all about this show. When you think about your acting career, when I looked at it in the past, I think you started acting like way back in the '80s, and you were in some big shows like The Sopranos, Mr. Robot, Blue Bloods, but they were smaller parts, right?
Yeah, mostly my career has been co-starring. Just drop in half a page, disappear, further the script, and then you're gone. I started studying or the idea of acting in 1985. I didn't start working in film and TV good 6, 7 years after that. I did a lot of theater when I first started out. A lot of theater.
And this was something in mid-career, right? You weren't like in theater, like out of high school, right? This was something you did a little bit later in life.
Yeah, I kind of was in a middle-age crisis, a bad relationship. I was working nights, coaching football for 3 months during the day, and I had a lot of downtime. And I said, let me go back and take a couple of classes at this local community college, So I looked at the itinerary. I saw computer science, nah, bookkeeping, nah, liberal arts. Nah. I turned and I saw theater drama program. And I said, literally just said, yeah, that sounds good. And I took a couple of classes and I fell in love with the whole idea of it. That's really what happened. That's how it got started.
I'm so glad we have Joseph Tudisco, the actor, and not the bookkeeper. Like, because I think
I know that's not going anywhere. Come on.
Nah, it didn't sit well with me either.
It kind of actually reminds me of Barry, because that's actually that plot line happens in that show where he goes to do theater, right?
Good show, Barry. I like.
Yeah, it's a very good show. We love that show as well.
So you went and did some acting within the classes, and then did you start just doing tryouts? Like, did you get an agent? What happened early on?
Well, I took two classes. One was history of theater, and the other which was stagecraft, which put me. They had a great performing arts center at the school, maybe 400 seats, and they had a state of the art backstage shops, and I got involved with all that. Making sets, painting, stagehand, and I got involved in that way. And then took a couple of acting classes and auditioned for some school theater. Booked a couple of things right away. Scared the heck out of me, but I did it anyway, and just never looked back.
Okay, before we move on, as a football fan, I can't let it go that you were a football coach for a while. Is this something that you've always been a football guy? Was this what you played in high school? How did you become a coach?
I played football. I got hurt very young. I was 16. I blew my knee out, and really wasn't able to perform to any capability. And I got involved in coaching. I coached a lot of Sandlot, and then I hooked up with a high school, Sheepshead Bay High School, the Sharks of Sheepshead Bay High School. And I ran the JV program there for Coach Riley for maybe 13 or 14 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, well, it was a whole different lifetime. I loved it, loved every minute of it, and hated every minute of it.
Yeah,
all at the same time. But it was just a great experience.
I actually have also a personal question before we go on. I'm a big video game nerd, and I play all the games. And I saw that you were in GTA 4. And I didn't know that. How did you get that role? And I actually want to do some voiceover stuff. So I'm just wondering how you got into that.
I submitted myself for it. They called me in. I did a little quick tape. And it wasn't a big role. It was just some background stuff as a gangster, as a mobster. I did 2 days on it. Didn't really like it. It was a lot of yelling and screaming. I could never extract my voice from the actual soundtrack of the game. But I did. I think I did. I may have done two of them. I don't remember.
Yeah, I saw four. I saw four was on there, and I remember
Yeah,
liking like the acting in that is great. I mean, there's a lot of like believable gangsters. So I was like,
yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just a voice. It's a plain, simple
yeah,
voice.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you feel, this is like a really amazing role for you, and it was one in which you're basically co-starring alongside Tim, and so I want to kind of know how this, how you auditioned, how do you come into this role? Give us a little bit of the backstory.
It was like any other audition for me. I prepared for it the same way. I had no expectations of it, which I learned a long time ago. A lot of actors take an audition with the expectation of getting a job. The audition is to get a job. And I learned a long time ago to make the audition the job.
Mm.
Okay.
The audition is the job for that day, that moment, that 5 minutes somebody wants to see you perform, create. And I always treated it that way, and I didn't put no expectations on it. So I had no idea where this was going or to the how big the show was going to be. And I did a self tape like any other audition, and I made some choices about the side. I did when I read the sides for the audition. There were two scenes, and it just read funny. There were funny scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was a typical choice that other actors would make. And I tried to go away from that. And I said, I'm going to make it serious. This stuff is serious for Mike. And that's where the idea of don't make it funny. It's not funny to Mike. And that's how I presented it. And I think it was the right choice.
I think it was too, because I was just going to say that is one of the core like functions of Mike in the show is like you don't know what's going to come from him, and he
Yeah.
has a little bit of side eye, and he's definitely serious. And it starts when we introduced to him is like
Yeah.
dangerous. So I feel like that's a great choice.
Yeah. So I got the call back, and casting director Gail Keller, before we actually started with the callback, she said to me, "Don't you dare bring any humor in." She says, "Just what you did. That's what they want." And so I knew I made the right choice, and I went
Yeah.
with it from there. And then we had the third leg of the audition was the chemistry read, which I actually sat with Tim and we read
Okay.
the two together. And 2 days later, they booked me, and it was like.
It must have been obvious the chemistry, right? So, did you feel good in that chemistry read?
Yeah, well, yeah. I walked in. There was 20 people in the room.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
everybody was there.
Had that ever happened before? That many people in a room for
No,
audition?
no, because the roles I always went after didn't dictate that that's who had to be in the room. I mean, when I booked this, I felt honored that they trusted me based on the short amount of time I was in front of them, and they gave me the trust and respect. From what I presented to them, I remember just thinking, don't even smile at anything. Just do the line. And Tim was sitting right to my left, and actually the camera was just on me. But I would be doing the lines, and I would kind of like look over and refer to him in the lines, and he would be there going,
Was he cracking up?
Yeah,
"Yes, he was."
because he
Big
can
smile.
see the scene. He can see how it's
Yeah.
going to look.
I guess, and he was very gracious at the end. He thanked me for coming, and just complimented my work and what we're looking for, and I walked out and said, "What shall be," and here I am.
And you're a veteran actor, right? But you also had this 20 people in a room, like a new experience. So the veteranness of you've being around for a while probably calmed your nerves a bit, but there must have been some nerves to a certain degree.
When you're doing this as long as I
Yeah.
am,
Yeah. Okay.
you don't care.
He's
You
like,
don't
I'm
care
fine.
anymore.
I'm fine.
Awesome.
You really don't. I look at it, I'm going to do what I do. If they like it, they like it. If not, not. At my age and the time I've spent, I've learned that. It's make the audition yours, own it, and move on from it.
Yeah. And that confidence is like, people can see it. People can feel that you're like, okay, this is just what I'm going to do. And lots of times that I've won out for stuff, that's exactly what happens. Like, yeah, he almost doesn't care, but that's exactly what we want.
Well,
And also,
it's a learned skill.
yeah.
You're not born with it,
Yeah. And then I think Tim is great with that because a lot of his shows, I think You Should Leave as well, the sketch show, he finds people and he's just got a great eye, I think. Like he finds people in auditions and goes, yep, that's the person for this role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he saw that with you.
Yeah, I didn't know Tim's work before I auditioned.
Well, I was going to ask that. It was one of our
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
was wondering. And so did you go back or before the audition, did you binge I Think You Should Leave, or did you watch Friendship or Detroiters, or you just went in cold?
not the first audition. The first audition was a self tape, so I had no idea even after that. When I got the call back, I started to try to figure out. It was a pilot. Who knew where that was going to go? Pilots, they go by the wayside, all the time. And I had spoke to my daughter and her husband about it, and they were big fans. Oh yeah, they knew him.
Really?
She said, you got to check him out. You got to, and she told me that. Then I went and I looked. I looked at the sketch comedy, and I looked at a couple of episodes of the Detroiters, and definitely a specific type of humor.
For
So,
sure.
and I saw that he had this tremendous following, and I said, well, this might be something here. This might be, something that could go somewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those comedians who not everyone loves, but if people love him, like it's an intense love, and like he's an online big following meme factory in a sense, right? And it says maybe Joseph, you are too now. Maybe you're going to be in some of these online memes. So I imagine your family is super excited. Wow, Tim Robinson.
Yeah, they were just my daughter and her husband were just over the top with the idea of it. Now that I'm in it, I mean, they're like big fans of the show. They can't stop talking about it. And it's exciting. It really is.
Talk about once you guys got that pilot film and you started doing the season. Was this something because the character's great, and I feel like it went through a lot of different. It was a journey, right? Like at first you're this scary guy at the pipe, and then you're Tim's almost like really good friend. You want to be
Yeah.
part of his family, and then maybe at the end you're kind of getting scary again. You have a guy in the bathtub in your bedroom, so there's always a little bit of scariness to Mike Santini. But how much of this was preordained and scripted versus did you do some improvisation along the way?
Well. First off, when we shot the pilot, there was no episodes. I had no idea who
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
Santini was. Just I had like three adjectives. He was violent. He was a loose cannon, and he was a little erratic in his behavior. Low line gangster type of guy. Those are the only adjectives I had. And doing the pilot, it's in the script in the pilot. I just come on at the end, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, if that much. Um, so there wasn't much for me to go on. I did know he's violent enough to hit a guy over the head with a pipe. Now I've never done that. I don't know. You got to be in that moment. And then the turn of a coin. I'm running away from him, scared. I'm running through the woods, with no shirt on
Taking
because
your
I
shirt
didn't
off.
want him
Yeah.
to catch
Yeah.
me. And it's like it's either here or here. And I'm saying to myself, wait a second. Where does an actor get that opportunity to go from here to here in a split second? Boom. And I said, I got to live the moment. I didn't figure him out. I didn't try to understand him. I just lived the moment. And that's what I did with the pilot. And then we got picked up, and a couple of episodes. We did a table read. I think it was 2, 3, and 4. Got to know him a little bit more, and I didn't, and I still don't up until the end. I don't try and figure him out. I can't figure him. I can't figure Mike Santini out.
Yeah.
All I could do is what's given him and play the moment, because his moments are so drastically different. And if you try to get a read through on his background or his history, it don't make sense. So I let it come to me, and I play those moments as they're written, and as we develop them as we go through the shooting process.
Yeah, I felt like it was all pitch perfect. Even like when you come up to Tim and you're so mad at him for giving up essentially on the chase of kind of the mystery, and like you were really angry in that scene, and then there's times when you're almost like you want to be part of his family. All of these different choices you made, like you weren't trying to be funny. You just made the right. It seems like you just made the right choice from an acting standpoint.
Yeah, when I'm working on those scenes in the script, I try not to lock into anything. I'll play it different ways just to get the lines down, and into a place where I'm comfortable speaking them. And I try not to make decisions about where it's going, or what he wants or what he's trying to get until I'm on the set, because what Tim gives back and what the director gives as notes is going to affect how I deliver whatever it is I'm delivering at the time. So I know it's going to change, and I know it's going to have an effect on me. What I get from them, and they're all generous. I mean, Tim is a generous actor. He'll let you go and do what you have to do. We spoke very little about how a scene should play out. We just played it out,
Mm.
which is so.
That was actually a question I had. Was there any improvisation in your lines, or did you just stick to the script?
There was some, not a lot. I think our actions kind of threw us into where we wanted to be with whatever conflict or friendship we were trying to develop. A lot of it happened as we were running a scene, and then you run it. You know how it goes. You run it 10 times. You start thinking about different things, and it comes to the point where the director is satisfied with it, and also you give them different choices to make.
Yeah.
When it gets to the cutting room.
Yeah.
But there was some improv. There's a lot of times when they just come and throw something at you. Let's do it this way, and the whole duck and fish smell like a duck, and that was just dropped on me. And till this day, I still don't know what it means.
You don't have to. It's hilarious.
No, I didn't. But Mike knew what it meant.
Mm-mm-mm.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I even said before we actually started shooting, "What does this mean?" And they just said, "Just play it straight out." They framed it the way they wanted to frame it, and it actually became a pretty funny moment.
Speaking of Mike's world, yeah, it was hilarious. Speaking of Mike's world, it is a chaotic world. And just being in his apartment like gives me anxiety, just being there and hearing Wazy Waynes, which I'm sure you in real life would never listen to. Am I correct?
Maybe.
Maybe you would. Would you
No.
listen to Wazy Waynes? No, you
No,
okay.
I wouldn't.
Who
you're correct.
would? But it just, that whole feel, we've mentioned it on this podcast a lot, but the vibe of that and some of the other scenes, harkens back to David Lynch and like a Twin Peaks kind of feel. I just was wondering if you're a fan of that work, of Lynch's work and stuff.
No, I'm sorry to say I'm not. Maybe I do know his work, but I don't know that that's his work.
Right.
Maybe some of the stuff, but no, I'm not. I'm not aware of his work.
Yeah, it's just a dark kind of darkness that kind of settles in on you. And I feel like this show does that. And back to your earlier point about acting and the range, I think that's what's great about comedy is you can have that moment of like great sincerity. We are like all, pulling for Mike right now. He just wanted to bring the chocolate gorilla. Come on, let him bring the chocolate gorilla. And then you're like, wait, I hate him or he's being violent. What's happening? So I think that range is just amazing. And that happens in comedy.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's uniquely, though, I think Tim Robinson or David Lynch, I feel like this whipsawed us quite a bit between like dark and light and humorous
Right.
and scary. And was that when you looked at the scripts as over time where you're going, wow, the range of which they're trying to bring in all these different elements, or maybe they're hat tipping to kind of some of their influences. Did that strike you at all during the season as you're filming?
I think I didn't get all the episodes at once, so they came. Actually, the last episode, episode 8, I didn't get till maybe 4 or 5 days before we started shooting. So to answer your question, the scene where I'm leaving my daughter's house and I go in the car and I talk to Ron about not being a good dad and all that, I had no idea what the real story was.
What the real deal is.
Really?
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
I had
Okay.
no idea until I got there.
Amazing.
Now I don't know if they did that on purpose to give me the wherewithal to really believe this is my daughter and play it that way, or I don't know why they did it, but it was great. I loved not knowing because again I play the moment.
Yeah.
The moment is what's important. I don't want to be infected by what's coming or even Mike's past. Mike knows his past, but I as the actor don't know it. I don't want to be affected by it. I want to play the moment because I think Mike is that type of a guy. He's in the moment. He's always in the moment, good, bad, or indifferent. This is the way he thinks. He's a little bit fragmented, and going from here to here, and that's what's important for me. And what I love about Mike, he gives me as an actor that opportunity to express those things that you don't always, you just very rarely get that chance.
And one of the things I'm so excited about, and obviously you guys can't go into it in terms of what season 2 looks like, but the ability to find out where the Mike Santini's character is going next year. We were so excited when you guys got greenlit. Was that an exciting moment for you as well?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't. Of
Nah,
course.
he was fine with it. He's been in this business a long
Yeah,
time.
no, it was exciting. Believe me, when we found out, it was my wife and I were going. Look at this. We're going again. We're going to do this again. And I don't know what to expect for Mike. I have no
Yeah.
clue.
Who knows if Tim and Zach know at this point? But speaking
They
of your
don't.
wife,
I bet you they don't.
yeah, you had some great interviews. I read a piece, I think, in The Ringer or whatever. But it sounds like you've been having a lot of fun with this newfound fame, if we will, or oncoming fame. Like it talked about you being in a store and yelling out the name Mike
Yeah,
Santini. Like, has anyone recognized you in public yet?
a couple of people. I had a woman at the eye doctor's office, and I had a guy at the gym right opposite me. We were getting ready, and he kept looking at me. Are you from the chair company? And we spoke, and so it hasn't happened a lot, but it has happened, and I guess it'll snowball the more popular the show gets. So but the life itself with the show has offered a lot of other experiences in my lifestyle. So it's just been a pleasant surprise. I had no expectations of being here 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Just happy doing my co-starring, 5, 6 lines and moving on.
Did getting a show on HBO, alongside Tim Robinson, a big production? I feel like it's a big deal to be on an HBO show, be a co-star essentially. You said it maybe starting to change your acting life. All of a sudden, are you getting maybe more knocks on the door? Is your agent getting more rings on the phone? Like, can you talk about that at all?
Boy, you know how to push it, don't you? I haven't gotten any
Sorry.
offers yet since doing this.
You will.
You just ruined my whole life.
I feel like you can roll with the punches.
Well, we have expectations. Right now
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
downtime in the business this time of year. We do have to limit what I do now. I can't go back to doing those co-starring roles, which are day player roles. They use a different verbiage today. You work for the day. My manager says you're not going to do that anymore, and I says, oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, I could live with that because I do like to work.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be less work, but more gratifying, probably, more intense, more exposure. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm just getting on the train and taking a ride, and we see where
Yeah,
it
Yeah.
leads
of
me.
course.
I think because they got greenlit, and nowadays, even like with Severance, shows are back in production quicker, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like we're not going to speculate, but I feel like it might be soon for
Well, we
production.
started shooting once we got the go ahead. I think we started at the end of April last year. To
Mm-hmm.
do from the second episode on. So I guess it might be that same time frame. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm
And
ready
it seems
for it.
like Tim and Zach are pretty prolific writers. And so I'm just guessing. This is me. You don't have to say blink your eyes, yes or no. But I feel like I feel like they work pretty quickly. Hopefully we're excited. Hopefully it'll be out next year. But we're excited to see you, certainly. When you got the call, I think I read a story. Your wife was more excited than you. Like, has it been fun for her as well to jump on this train ride?
Yeah, she's not in the business. She is absolutely not in the business,
Okay.
but she's there all the time with me.
Yeah.
Reading, she helps me with the scripts, getting through the scenes, correcting me. Oh boy, does she correct me! She doesn't let a word go by, which is good. And they're not word perfect on set, so that's good. But my wife is word perfect, when we're
At
rehearsing.
home, yeah.
And it's a good thing, because it just puts me in the right frame of mind to have everything, already stored up in here. But she's excited. She's taking the ride with me. I wouldn't have it any other way. She's been terrific. It's all good. That's all good situation.
Well, this has been a great honor to interview Joseph. Carlos,
Yeah.
how awesome has this been?
This is awesome. I mean, we just started a little podcast because we love the show so much, and we have definitely like watched everything Tim has
Yeah.
done. And then when we saw you and we saw the cast, we were just like, this is bigger than we thought. And so we made a little podcast about it. But to actually talk with people actually on the show that we watch every week is awesome. So thank you so much for being here.
I have caught a couple of your episodes with the
Oh,
I
All
have,
right.
yes.
Any
Not all of
feedback?
them, but
Any feedback? Anything?
I
we can
know.
improve on?
What is that? Where's our notes? Give us our
Yeah, where's our
notes.
notes?
a lot of times you guys are dead wrong, but then you didn't see the next episode.
It's
So,
true. It's true.
but I enjoyed the way you analyze it and dissect it. And sometimes I agree with you, and sometimes I go, well, because I know what's coming. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
These
sometimes
guys are
you're like,
so wrong.
who are these
but,
morons?
but I do
Sometimes.
enjoy the two of you. You know, I've probably seen about 4 of them, 4 or 5.
Wow, that's great.
Well, thanks. Thanks.
You know, sometimes I fast forward to get to the point where you're talking about me.
Yeah, you're like, where's the
Which
mic part?
you don't do frequently. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
We need to get on that.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get on. We'll feature you more, Joseph.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. We know it's a crazy time of year during the holidays, so thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.
And maybe we'll see you in season 2.
Yes, sir.